What's the biggest gift you received on that journey?
The awareness that that story isn't the story. Understanding I was never abandoned. I was always truly loved, and now I know how to love myself.
Ah. Hello, everybody. This is From Suck to Free, turning hard times into a gift. And the beautiful lady smiling is Nicolle Hill. Hi, Nicolle.
Hello. Okay, just when I hear you say "from factor free" makes me giggle. I don't know what it is. It's you, Marcus, saying the F word is delightful.
Yeah. And the only reason I was brave enough to put this word into the title was Nicolle, who said, Marcus, you can pull it off. And my mind said, no, I cannot. An hour later, I thought, maybe I can. And now it feels good. And it's true.
Right, doesn't it? It feels right.
It's exactly what this is about. It's about the times where we feel like I'm fucked. And then going inside, turning it into a gift and come out freer, stronger, and more yourself on the other side. So you can look back and say, it was hard. It was really hard, but it was a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
We will talk about your story and how you turned fucked into free.
Hey, Marcus, can we share one thing? Because it wasn't just me, and Marcus is surrounded by really strong, beautiful spirited women and who have opinions. And so when you were when you were sharing your idea, I think it was 4 or 5 of us that were surrounding you, and that the name blossomed from the collective community of women that you surround yourself with. So
This is the perfect introduction. You helped me. Thank you, Nicolle, because I did not have one. What makes Nicolle so special is she's a super connector. And what I mean with that is what you just showed. Like, I know her from our Wayfinder life coach training with Mother Beck. And what makes her special is she makes sure everybody in the group feels like part of the group. Like, she notices if somebody's quiet, if somebody does not feel comfortable, and she makes sure everybody's included. And that's what she did just right now once more.
no, I'll take that. I'm gonna lean into that being my superpower, but we could talk about how I came up with that superpower, because it was through rough moments.
Yes. Here, let's do that. Before we do that, I just, because that was so beautifully said a few minutes ago, you told me what your hope for this episode is. And what's your hope for this episode?
Yeah. When I get down to what my soul wants, but what I also want for others, is to be truly seen, for who we are at our true essence. And so if I have any hope for this conversation with my great friend Marcus, is that through our conversation, others feel seen. They feel seen because it's relatable. I think a lot of our stories, they may have different flavors and different spins, and yes, we're all unique, for sure, but we're also all connected. We're all essentially one. And so that's my hope, is that people listen in and they see themselves, and they see that we, through our conversation, see them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when you talk about feeling seen, you're talking about connection. And that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about feeling disconnected and the pain that comes with it. And Nicolle knows a lot about it. And I do too. And then we will talk about how to connect to ourselves to our true selves, how to connect to others, and how to connect to something greater than ourselves. So, Nicolle, how does it make you feel when you have the impression somebody is not seen or does not feel seen in a group?
Mm. Well, I know what that feels like. I can almost go there in an instant. I spent a lot of my younger years feeling that way, and even even if people didn't see that, I didn't. Inside, I felt that uh, loneliness, deep loneliness in periods of my time through adolescence. And for me, I can feel that. I know what it feels like, and I can sense it when I see it in others that are trying to navigate connection with others and are in the periphery or not in being brought in. And so I don't know, I've had a radar for that. All my life, actually. I went to a high school reunion, and one of my good friends told me a story that I don't remember, but she had told me that she had mentioned me to her kids about how I could see the kids that were being left out, and I would bring them into the fold. And that was a gift she gave me at my 30-year reunion.
Um,
Because I don't remember, that specific story. But, I had a knack for it, and it has come from being the person that feels oftentimes on the outside, as well. So I relate to people that feel that way,
Oof.
for sure.
When you say you can relate because you know how you felt like as a little girl, can you let us know a little bit about your life, how you got to where you are today?
Well, I'll take a couple snippets. So, I grew up in a big family, with my mom and my sister, and my mom and dad divorced before I could remember. I think I was 3 years old when they divorced, and my relationship with my dad was really, intermittent, to say the best. And then at 11, my dad left, and I really didn't see or have much interaction with him at all until I was 18, and that was just for a brief moment, uh, a short stint, and then in my mid-20s. So, that I know that has shaped me in, uh growing up with a bit of a narrative, that's and I've overcome this narrative. I don't believe this narrative anymore, but when I was a kid, that I wasn't worthy of a parent's love or desire to be connected. And so, that for sure shaped me. It shaped me feeling in the feelings I had and the narrative I had that I wasn't worth it.
Mhm.
I wasn't worth the connection. I know now that my relationship with my dad, or lack of one, is not about me. It wasn't about me. It was about him and his own struggles. And I see him differently now. I have a lot of empathy. I don't think he made conscious choices to be absent, but that was my impact. And um, so that was a huge piece of my childhood. And I think, yeah, because of our situation, our family situation, my mom had to take on a lot of work and worked a lot and was exhausted. I don't know how people do it. I have a partner. I have 3 kids. My youngest one is 18. She just graduated from high school, and it's exhausting parenting with co-parenting, let alone thinking about what my mom had to do with 2 girls on her own, no financial support, and um, working quite a bit just to make ends meet. So my mom was there, but my mom was also often not there in many ways because she was working and providing and doing all the roles. And that was a huge shape of Nicolle in the beginning. And it, I don't know if you'd call that fucked, maybe, but it definitely shaped who I was. And some of it has been the challenges of that, right? So I've done a lot of healing around that. But then some of it has become, I think, the superpower
Yes.
of not of seeing it in the world. I see it more clearly in others, and I feel it more clearly in others. And it's really become very important to change the legacy that I had, um, not only in myself, but then for my children and for the people around me, to actually feel connected, to be connected, to me, they're connected, to be seen,
Yes.
to know that they're loved.
Yes.
Um, I don't doubt my parents both love me. In fact, I know they do. And my mom, I'm very close with my mom. And But with my dad, I don't think I knew he loved me for a long time, and I do know I do know he loves me. I do believe that. I just think he is suffering his own demons. So I wish I saw you now, because and that's just so awkward, because now you're just laughing and I'm telling you something
You're
just
still not seeing me. Oh my gosh.
it's a little awkward, Marcus.
Yeah. Well, but let's go on. Let's go on. This has been good. Um, I I wanted to go more into detail about what you said. Um, you said, there's this little girl, little Nicolle, and then her dad leaves. And then there's that narrative in her head that she's not worthy of connection, not worthy of love. hmm So what I want to point out, and you tell me where I'm wrong, probably there are 2 things here. First, there's the pain of somebody that you love, that's important to you, your dad left, that hurts.
Right.
And on top, there's a belief that something's wrong with you, and you're carrying that belief with you through life.
Yeah. And I say this, it wasn't conscious at 11 that something was wrong with me, but what I learned from that I've had to unlearn was that I had a very deep desire to seek acceptance and approval and love outside myself. I had a deep, it was very deep to chase after it,
Yes.
because it wasn't stable. Having a central person in your life, one of your 2 parents walk away. Um, I found myself chasing acceptance and chasing uh, approval
Mhm.
for a lot of my life. I didn't, it took me until I was truly in my 40s. I'm 52. Um, and not in early 40s to start to understand and turn that approval inwards and that seeking inwards. But for many decades, I looked outside through teachers and through employers and through friendships and through other family members to be, oh, palatable, I guess is the right word. Like to be somebody that people liked, because if they liked me and accepted me, then I was worthy. That was the thing that was my unconscious learning as a kid that I actually have worked to unlearn in the last, handful of years to try to undo that 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 wiring that I created, or that was created, the conditions were created.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, that has been a big journey for me, um, is to rewire.
What how did the change happen? Like what yeah, how did you what caused that inner change that today you're connected to yourself?
Oh, goodness. Uh, it it's not, I don't think it's one catalytic event that did it. It was probably 1,000 little things that made me, that I became aware. I do think so. I do believe that we're souls first having a human experience, and your audience could take this or leave it. That I believe that we choose to come into this human form to evolve, to learn, to grow, and um that if we're seeing patterns in our life, like the same thing happens over and over again, as an indicator that we still haven't quite learned the lesson.
Yes.
And so I had many patterns, similar patterns uh where I'm very relational. I'm connection is a strong word for me, and I truly believe in that. But I would also feel very tethered to people in the way that my emotions and the way I felt were very related to the people around me's emotions and how they felt, or how they
Yes.
even felt about me.
Yes.
Some of these were the stories I told myself, and some of them were were truths. But nonetheless, I felt in relationships, whether it was friendships, or family members or colleagues, that the way I felt about me was always connected to how I perceive people feeling about me. And I kept getting reminded about that in relationships. I had uh, a couple relationships that um, friendships and a family member that we fell out of connection, uh, and I recognized that I that I just allowed how I felt about me based on how everybody else felt about me.
Mhm.
And so at some point, some point several years ago, and I think COVID had a big piece of that, right? All of a sudden, the external world went from big to, literally isolation. And I don't ever wish to go through a COVID. I don't think any of us would want to go through that again. That being said, I can always see unpleasant events to see there's some silver linings. And one of the silver linings around COVID was actually the being with me, myself, and I a
Mhm.
lot. and and having the external world go away for a while. And when that happened, I started to recognize that I didn't really know myself, that I had based a lot of how I thought my feelings based off of everybody else, or um, constantly people pleasing with other people, was, uh, that codependence of being, of if somebody, liked me, then I was happy. If they didn't, then I would be in my head, I would be wrapped around in my head around that. So COVID was definitely a piece of it, huge piece of it. Um, Marcus, I don't think you can relate, but maybe people that are listening to this, but um, I'm believing like women going through changes in their chemical changes, and something happens in the 40s and 50s in women. We can see kind of all the n negative things that can happen, the hot flashes, the sleep issues, the hair loss, blah, blah, blah. But then the other piece of it is you just don't give the shits you gave. And that there became a point, and I think that um m- my body was telling me it's time to focus on me. It literally, physically, I had no other I had no other choice in the matter, in a sense. Like, it was a wake-up call. And so I think that God, I will say that my favorite people are women. Sorry, Marcus, you're one of my favorite people too. But my favorite are women that start to wake up to themselves, that often happen when their roles may change.
This.
They, there's a narrative that's, where a lot of times put to pasture a little bit, our 50s and beyond. And I think that's just because we're pretty darn powerful when we finally figure out who we are. And so, I don't know, COVID and menopause might have been the magic little pieces to it. And I got really curious about what I believed in, who I was. I sought a coach.
Mhm.
I will say I sought a therapist.
Mhm.
So I first sought a therapist, a woman, um, Amber, who was life changing, and then I sought a couple coaches that I still have in my life, and the partnering with the people and the connections I had with those people, uh, I started to actually learn who I was and get to like myself and really actually see, like, oh, I've been putting other people above my own needs and my own desires and my own hearts. and that started to shift. It was, as Wayfinder coaches, right? It was just turtle steps. It was little things every day. I started to follow my curiosity and my bliss, uh, and my happiness. But yeah, that's my guess.
It's true, I cannot relate to menopause. That's true. But I can relate to so many things you just said. There are so many similarities. You said, my body's telling me to focus on me. Well, in my case, this illness came along. I was sitting on a chair. I could not do anything anymore, not move, not talk, not even open my eyes. Most of the time, I was just sitting there focusing on me. And yeah, as you said, I had no choice. I had to do it. It was like my body is telling me something. And today, I believe my soul was speaking through my body and telling me something's wrong here. You're not on your path anymore. Because, like with you, my focus was outside. Like, if I made sure most people liked me, and when they liked me, I was happy.
Yes.
Yes. So true for me as well. And then this illness came along, and I had to focus on me. And a big turning point as well was much at the beginning of my illness. Before it got really, really bad, I also started seeing a coach. And today, I have to say thank you to her. Probably I would not have survived the worst parts when I was sitting on that chair, just alone with the pain, the extreme pain, with my thoughts, with all those emotions, and no way to escape. I could not move, not even show my emotions with my face, without severe pain for hours, maybe days, weeks, months. Everything could have big consequences. So I just sat there, not moving.
Mm.
And where do I want to go with that? Yeah, the body. Today we're talking about connection. And this way, I learned to connect with my body. So there was the mind-body connection. I noticed, if I think a certain way, I feel a certain way, and my body reacts a certain way. If I think this will get worse and worse and worse, and there's no hope, well, then I feel hopeless, I feel despair, I feel fear, and my body reacts to it, probably with more pain. If I feel hope, there was still pain, but not as much when I thought something different. But then at some point I noticed there's something missing. It's not just mind and body.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed when my mind is still, there's another voice. And I call it my inner voice. I don't know. Other people have other names for it. But out of the nowhere, out of this stillness, Eckhart Tolle says, stillness speaks. There comes an inner voice. And I learned to trust that voice. And since I'm doing this, miracles have been happening.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
That just
Today I'm sitting here. And then, yeah.
So you and I know about the body compass
Yes.
work, and I don't know if you want to explain it for your audience, for those that don't understand, that don't know.
You can do it.
It's so the body compass work is that our intuitively, we have our social selves and we have our essential selves. And this is when I say I want people to be seen, it's not for their social selves, right? We see the social selves. When I say I want people to be seen, it's that essential selves. It's like our heart, soul, why we came on this earth and what we have to give while we're here. And oftentimes those are things we hide, or we hide from the world because for various reasons. But our bodies never forget. Our bodies are connected at the heart of who we truly are. And it gives us signals, sometimes very subtle ones and sometimes really big ones. And sometimes the really big ones can manifest in true, true pain, true stress in the body. And so Marcus and I partner with people to get them back connected to their body, to learn the signals
Yes.
of when they're headed towards their purpose, towards what their essential selves really want, and who they truly are, or if they're moving away from it. And I just did this exercise with somebody. I was coaching somebody this week, and it it reminded me like to watch somebody connect the dots about how they've been ignoring those little pings. And I do this, but sometimes I even forget, even though I'm trained and I do this. And so last week I was telling Marcus I was working quite a bit. I was in Hawaii. It was beautiful. And I felt my stress, I felt like this low grade stress for a lot of the week. And then halfway through the vacation, I was like, what am I doing? And I did the body compass work on myself. I checked in with every single part from my toes to my head. And then I gave myself the permission to just follow what felt good for the day. And crazy things happened. Crazy things happened. I got connected with this woman that created this beautiful ritual for women on self-care. And then this person that I had been hoping to reach out to me, she creates beautiful skincare, beautiful products. Reach out to like just following my bliss. Now, and someone could say, well, that's a coincidence, and that's fine. But I choose to believe that those things started to line up for me. People started to line up for me that I wanted to connect with, that I was inspired by. They're all women over 40. Because I was attuned to the energies of what was my heart's desire. And so I get so pleasantly surprised. Even though we've been doing this, I still get kind of like goosebumps when it's like, goodness, this thing, it happens when you actually listen to your body. And and I want to say this. I don't want this to be a tangent, but you know, I also think there is this notion, I believe that us focusing on ourselves is selfish. And as a woman, I feel like I definitely know that there was some conditioning that, uh, it's all about caretaking and giving and giving and giving. And that's the external piece. That when I started to actually invest in myself, I did a lot of self-care. That was another way I connected during COVID, and my body my body changing quite a bit, is that I started to do a lot of self-care and connecting with my actual physical body. Uh, I have looked at being, selfish is actually kind of part of what I'm supposed to do. Is I'm supposed to take care of myself deeply, so that uh, I can better shine in this world, and that when I'm happy and when I feel good about myself and I love myself, more of me, my energy, my time, my talents can be shared with others. So I want to share that because I think if especially women listening to this they don't need the permission, but I want them to hear this deeply, that them taking care of themselves and taking care of their bodies and taking care of their needs is so essential for them to be their best selves, to be the best selves that they, in this world. So that was, yeah, that was a tangent, but I felt needed. It had to come out.
And I like that. I want to I want to sum it up a little bit in my words and add a little bit of my experience. Because my journey was quite similar. Like you said, you decided to follow happiness, to follow the bliss, and you did it in Hawaii. I at one time decided joy is the top priority in my life. My joy is more important than my image.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I made a decision, I looked at the and then I said, joy is more important than what others think, my image. And this was crucial for my journey. Second thing you said, it's how to connect to yourself. So following my joy connected to me because my focus went to me, to my joy, and not to my ego. My ego wanted to be liked. Then my ego was happy.
Yeah.
But not my soul. My soul wanted to feel true joy. The love for life. To do what I'm here for. To be free. To be myself. That freedom. That's what my soul wants. And my body guides me there. My body speaks to me. And that's what you did. You focused on your body. I did that too. And then you mentioned something, that some listeners might think, oh, taking care of yourself is selfish. Well, in my words, taking care of my ego, that's selfish. Taking care of my body, taking care of my soul, in my experience, serves others, connects me to others, because it opens my it opens my heart, and then I'm connected, and that's now we can. No, I have one more question, but we are almost getting from connecting to ourselves to connecting to others, because that's what happened to you in Hawaii. You connected to yourself, and suddenly, I have one more question. When you compare, you talked about the body compass. When you compare little Nicolle, who had this narrative in her head, I'm not worthy of connection. I'm not worthy of love because I was abandoned, and probably that had a reason, something about me. So I have to look outside. How this felt like in your body compared to when you're free, you like yourself, you're connected to yourself. How your body is different when you're connected to yourself and when you're not.
Yeah. So I have always this image of feelings, it's really, and I love imagery like metaphors. I think I live in that space. Quite a imagination, but I always compare it to being shackled and constrained and boxed and uh yeah, and it there's I can feel it in my body. It's right. It's always like rolled in, and I always, I would call it my peach pit because I always felt like I always had something stuck in my throat. And that was I understand that now is that using my voice to speak my truth felt constricted. And so that's where my body told me, um, it spoke very loud for many years. I had that feeling in my throat, uh, thousands, if not, hundreds of thousands of millions of times. So that was oftentimes I call it the shackled feeling, and now I call it, we call it free. I call it open, expansive, uh, and it's, it's not without challenges at times for me, meaning when you said, and by the way, I loved how you summed up what I was babbling about. You said it so well, but you also said, that you had decided that you were going to pick your joy over image.
Yes.
And in that, my experience, and I have been following my joy, and sometimes it doesn't make a lick of sense. And the stuff I'm doing, and I'm putting myself out there in all sorts of ways, and I don't even know where it's gonna take me, but I'm just doing it. It's fun. Once I got over the peach pit and started to get used to putting my voice out there in a different way, is that uh, not everyone understands, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Not everybody wants you to change,
Mhm.
and that's okay. Not everyone benefits from your changes, and that's okay. And so I've had that experience. I've had some of the best highs because I'm connected. And the question that has come up is so you say you want to follow your joy, Marcus, over your ego. Let me challenge that a little. Do you really want to? Because the safety of the image is that people you've constructed that to be safe and to be accepted, perhaps.
Yes.
And the joy may not make sense to people. The joy may make other people uncomfortable. The
Yes.
joy may make um me uncomfortable. Like my own joy might make me uncomfortable because I haven't yet tapped into it and given myself full permission, and that in the beginning might feel uncomfortable. There might be
Yes.
fear I have to work through, the courage. Courage, I would say, is like the superpower. If you can lean into being courageous, even if it feels funny or you'll fail. Failure might be part of the joy, like doing something. And
Yes.
so I experience and have, I still experience that, but I
May I say something before I forget it? Because you asked the question, are you really ready to pick joy over your ego, the safety of being liked?
what
Uh,
no.
yeah, and I want to relate that to the body compass because for me that's a big distinction. And for that, my own experience, that's not something you will probably find in a book. Like the body compass, my body reacts to both, to my mind and to my soul. Often the mind is louder. So if I have a decision to make, like, shall I call this podcast From Fuck to Free? So my mind is saying you cannot do this. What will people think about you? That's not theory, that that's not the language you're supposed to use, whatever. So then I will feel tension in my body. And then I could say, oh, my body compass is saying, no, don't do it.
Right.
But then I meditate, I go to that still place, and then I imagine it. See in front of me the title From Fuck to Free. And I observe from that place of stillness, what is my body doing now? And in my case, when when my heart opens, when the energy flows freely through me, if there's peace, that's not excitement. Usually there's peace. It feels open, peaceful, heart is open. Then I know, go. If I then feel my body saying like tension, then I know it's no. But I have to make sure that I'm at the right place. And that's the challenge. That's what I keep learning every single day and trying to get better at it. Which doesn't mean I'm perfect. But I notice like, yeah, now I can do it with big decisions, like do a surgery, don't do a surgery. Last time somebody put a needle in my hand, I could not move my arm for half a year. I had to be fed for half a year. So my mind is going crazy. Don't do it, don't do it. Remember last time. I sit down, I meditate, think about surgery, and I feel peace. And now I'm that far that I can say, yes, I trust it. And here I'm sitting and I'm very happy that I did it. And it's a miracle. I don't know how that happened, but it turned out well. Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention.
I'm so glad you mentioned it because you're hitting on that fear still can play into
Yes.
that even if your desire where you want to go doesn't mean that you're not going to have fear. Doesn't mean,
Yes.
in fact, I would say the energy that I've leaned into the most over the last several years is courage, which isn't joy, right? But
Yes.
it is the step to get to joy.
Yes.
And so there isn't a way to get to joy, I believe, without still fear playing into the equation. But the question is, where does courage come into it? I play this game. I don't know if it's a game, but it's a tool for me.
Yes.
And it's the pragmatic part of me. But I also have done this, and it's a little different than the meditation that you do. But I imagine the risk of doing something or not doing something, because not doing something is doing something. And I kind of get into like, what is the worst that could ever happen, you know? We can use this podcast, I don't, that I've had a lot of, it's taken courage to do a podcast because
It's Nicole's first one.
it's my first one. And so, but so the risk is that, I'm going to sound like an idiot. There won't be no one's, I'm going to embarrass myself. There's going to be 2 views. Or maybe there's going to be 1 million views and I've embarrassed myself. I don't know. Whatever that is. And then, I played this out. I play all of those out. And I get kind of like crazy about it. Like, I mean, in the sense that like almost the extreme of probably what's the chances of that happening? Probably almost none. And then I flip it. So I start with the risk first because I start with the negative, and then I flip to the reward. And then I imagine all the juiciness of like, oh my gosh, this podcast, and we had this wonderful conversation. It was so illuminating. And then somebody from Arkansas listening to it, and it hit her soul, and she made these next changes, and her life went in a different direction by this 1 degree change because she listened to Marcus and Nicolle in this conversation, and she felt seen, and it sparked something. So, and then Marcus gets 1 million views, and this is wonderful. So I play these out, and then I think, gosh, like at the end of the day, nobody
we think people like because at least I do. I have this like, oh my gosh, I embarrassed myself. And people are talking about it. No one's really talking about it because nobody really holds on to other people's what they're doing like nearly as much as we think they do.
Yes.
So the chances of that happening are slim to none. But if the reward is a potential, it has just helped me balance taking more courageous steps.
Yes.
Or really getting clear about, is this my ego?
Yes.
Or is this something that is helping me grow and evolve to be completely aligned with who I am, who Nicole's core is? So I play this game all the time. It's fun. And none of the worst case scenarios have ever happened. And I played it with one. I did this competition, and one thing did happen. I did have a couple things happen. They were never the extreme, but then the reward was it still overwhelmed the thing I was worried about. So yeah, that's the thing I like to play, and it's helped me. I don't know if it's take it or leave it, but it's worked for me.
I like it.
Because my meditation is a little, I still, have a hard time tuning out or tuning in sometimes. So that's my practical Nicolle move.
I guess I want to add one thing to connecting to our true selves. What I heard you say, and you tell me where I'm wrong. To get to our true self, to get to this connection, which then leads to joy, we have to overcome fears. So it's fear and related emotions like guilt, shame, whatever that stands in the way between me with my. Well, I think I don't. That doesn't make sense.
No, well, if you were to hear my dogs are going nuts, my husband just brought them upstairs because they're going crazy. One of the things I don't know if I'll ever overcome or conquer fear. I've just learned that's part of the process, and I don't fight it as much as I did. So I recognize the fears coming in because I'm touching on something that is new, and some of it maybe that maybe the answer is not now or not right, but it's a pause to get curious. But I was just thinking, as you said, overcoming fear. I have not overcome fear. I just have learned to feel it and much of the time move through it. Not to say that, I mean, sometimes I'm paused in the fear for quite a while.
I'm so happy
Yeah.
you said that. Overcome is not the right word. Like now I would say what I try to do is, I can phrase it in two ways. One is to relax, to relax, maybe into the fear or back from the fear.
Yeah.
Like, both can work. To get some distance, and and then the other thing happens that I want to mention. Then I don't hold on to it anymore, and then it can leave after a while.
That's so beautiful. The relaxed into it. I didn't, I love
Because
it.
I know
It's
I'm not
yeah.
it. When that's the important knowledge. That's knowledge. That I, even with my mind, know I'm not the fear. So when my mind is in fear, my mind still knows I'm not the fear. I can observe it. And then I go back into that observer seat. And maybe I relax into it or I relax back. But I'm not believing everything the fear is saying anymore. I'm not believing every word but my thoughts are saying. So they can still chatter up there, but I know that's not the truth. I'm looking for the truth in the stillness.
Marcus, I love that. It's information, right? Like, I just did a little post around jealousy, and because I've actually been learning, been learning about my own envy and jealousy, and when it comes up, and understanding like it's actually just information that helps me understand there's something in the world that I may want. Maybe it's an experience, a skill, some desire that isn't that I that that hasn't manifested, or that I haven't. Maybe I didn't recognize I had that. So I've been anyhow. I mention that because these feelings we have, fear, jealousy, anger, grief, all of them, right? There's opportunity to learn
Yes.
from, like, if we let them. What was the word you said? To be
To relax into them or to
relax into them, and to get curious, and then to thank that feeling, because that feeling is showing us something. The fear is showing us something, or the jealousy is showing us something about ourselves.
Yes.
And that it's like it's the cue, or the clue, to opening up and getting curious.
Yes.
So yeah, I really like that.
And that's my experience. At some point, I noticed behind all those emotions, when I see them as different parts of me, of my personality that are speaking. And now there's, for example, fear. Then maybe what the fear is saying is completely nonsense, but its intention is probably to protect me. So the intention is to help me. So the intention is love. When I get to this place, the love behind the emotion, that doesn't mean that the thoughts are true, but that love behind it, then I'm connected to myself. Then I'm connected to my true self.
I love that.
So we can get to just briefly, because to connect to ourselves, that's the most important step of all the three. Like, if we are not connected to ourselves, I believe then we cannot really connect to others. Then we cannot connect to something bigger than us. And I talked about the inner voice. Maybe that is something bigger than us involved there. So now I want to get to your experiences, how it makes a difference if you're connected to yourself or not in regard to the connection to others.
Oh, yeah. So I'm learning this. So I'm in the path. I don't, I'm evolving. I'm evolving big time in my thinking and feeling about this. But because because I was a people pleaser, and I stay codependent in the way that I was related to how I thought about myself. It was always related to how other people thought about me. When that started to wear away, and I started to really heal from the need to have that, and start to love myself, turn inwards to really loving myself and giving me what I was seeking from others. I I one of the things that started to change and has changed and is still changing, so I think I'm like in the midst of it, is less doing and more being. And I would say that, there's the balance of being and doing, or resting and playing. But my, I was like all doing and all achieving, and very little resting and very little being. And I don't know that I'm always in sync, but I'm learning to just be. And I'm learning that just being is connecting. Like, I don't have to do anything to connect. I can be in myself, in my full, yeah, in my full self, in the sense that when I'm in my creative space, when I'm lit up, when I'm excited about something, when I'm, turned on about life in some way, that is actually been really a powerful connector with others. And I still don't know how it happens, but it does happen. And my belief is that we are actually just really one. We think of ourselves as completely autonomous, but I know that we're energy beings and that we're all connected. And so I'm leaning more into being, and not without a plan, without an agenda, without ticking off something, without creating very specific, channels. And I'm finding that by doing that, right, I'm finding more connection with others, oddly so. And then trusting when there's a time to act, that it'll come to me. I don't know if that makes sense. And I wish I could make eye contact with you right now. But
Maybe this is a brilliant opportunity to show something. I trust that this is good. So you said it's easier for you to connect, or when you're just when you when you're just being, like, the being is the important thing, not the doing, the being. So right now, like when you're in that state of just being, you're not seeing me, you're just connected to yourself and you're being. That's grammatically wrong, but it doesn't matter. So, how does that feel like, and what happens to the connection you feel between us both?
there's a deep presence in both me, but then in me with you, right? Like, I'm not in my head, I'm in my heart, and my heart is full. And my sense, and this, right? Like, I can feel when your heart is full. Like, you and I can feel very connected as our two souls connected. And so it's the deep presence of being in space with somebody. And it's wordless. I'm not gonna even try to give it words, because it's a wordless, like, energetic, beautiful connection. But I do believe it's being absolutely present
Yes.
in ourselves and with each other.
Yeah. For the viewers, maybe you observed something when you were looking at me. When I was asking Nicolle the question, and my mind noticed, oh, I have some difficulties to say that correctly, some language problems. You might have noticed, I noticed it, how my body got tighter. I got smaller. I was disconnected from my heart. I was worried about doing something wrong. And in this moment, I was not completely connected to Nicolle. Then I noticed it. I relaxed. My heart opened. And I felt so much love. I felt connection to Nicolle. I felt how warm her words felt like. So I just wanted to share that this difference between feeling connected to ourselves and others and feeling disconnected to ourselves and others, that can change in an instant. And it's in our own power to change that by noticing it. And I hope this podcast helps you to become more aware of it. And then that's the first step. Notice it. Oh, I'm getting tight. Relax into it. Oh, there's a change.
Right. Absolutely. And we learn this about as coaches, right? That are
Yes.
in reality, as coaches, we don't do a lot with just our I would say the most powerful thing we do is that we're present for somebody else,
Yes.
and that our reflection of what we're feeling, seeing, and hearing back to them, or that there's wisdom in that, and that there's learning and ahas through that, but it's not through a lot of, the most powerful thing is that we're really truly present for somebody. Yeah.
And now this comes to a full circle. I believe at the beginning you said your hope for this podcast is that viewers and listeners feel seen, feel truly seen, not that their ego feels seen, but their true self feels seen. And this happens when we are present, because when we are present, we're connected to our true self and not to the chatter and the fears in our head, not to the ego. And we are in a state of love, and that's why we see others, and we truly see them. And then, tell me where I'm wrong, what they experience is they feel seen. They feel, oh, somebody's wishing me well. Somebody allows me to be the way I am, truly am with my soul.
Yeah.
And then they feel loved and they feel free. And I guess that's the gift of connection, and that's how we can make a difference. By starting with connecting to our true selves, then we can connect to others and maybe to something bigger than ourselves as well. That's my experience, and I know it's yours as well. But I let that, I leave that to the viewers and listeners to make that experience on their own. I don't want to talk about this today. So, but my very last question for today, Nicolle, is this podcast is called From Factor Free, Turning Hard Times into a Gift. What's the biggest gift you received on your journey from feeling abandoned to feeling connected? What's the biggest gift you received on that journey?
The awareness that story isn't the story, that I was never abandoned. I was I was absolutely loved. I'm loved by the universe. I'm loved by beautiful people here on earth and people that have left this earth. And that
that if anything, maybe I had abandoned myself, but I don't even want to say that I abandoned myself. I just hadn't gotten to know myself. I hadn't yet created this space. And I also think things happen in divine timing when we're ready. And so I look at everything up until the time that I really got to not only know myself, but really love myself. I mean, I do love myself quite a bit. And I can say that. I would have thought that was the weirdest thing to say 5 years ago. Oh my God. Um, but I can say this I can say this with my true heart and soul. So, you know, that that I think at the end, I think in the true essence is I'm not sure we're ever totally fucked. I think we can think we are, but I'm not even sure we can actually, you know, even the the fucked times, those are the pearls. Those have been the pearls. I mean, and those things that have hurt the soul, really hurt the soul. I can also see some of the beauty in that. So yeah, I think just understanding I was never abandoned. I was always truly loved, and now I know how to love myself.
Wow. Thank you, Nicolle. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Marcus, I love you. I'm so thankful for my friendship with you. You're one of my favorite people.
And you know you're special.